Hello, good afternoon. Welcome to P2P Live, our regular slot on a Friday afternoon at 12:30, where we bring a jobs and employment market update to you. My name's 𝐻𝐿_Kennedy. I'm the Managing Director of People to People here in New South Wales. I'm very happy to be hosting today. I'll be in the host seat for the next couple of weeks as Mark Smith, our Group Managing Director, enjoys a well-deserved break. So very similar format today. What's in store is we've got our regular stat of the week. So there was actually some interesting data that was released yesterday around unemployment. So certainly take you through that. We've got a couple of jobs based here in Australia that the team are very keen to fill very urgently. So we'll bring those to you. If you're watching us, perhaps you're in Australia and you're considering doing a working holiday, we've got some vacancies from both our New Zealand team and also from our UK team. So we've got you covered irrespective of what part of the world you're looking to work within. And then we are also going to have a chat to Renagi from our Brisbane team, get a bit of an understanding about what's happening in his market. And he's particularly going to share some insights with us around AI in the workplace and how that is impacting the workplaces and the role that that's playing, which is certainly very topical. So if you're watching live, I know some people watch this after the fact, but if you're watching live and you've got questions or comments as we go through, I'll do my best to make sure that I see them come in and address them as they come up as well. But we might get into it. I've forgotten one thing, of course, rookie error. We also will have our Twitter poll results. So that's a bit of a feature of this broadcast that we do every week. We put a question out there to the Twitterverse. We've got the results from last week, and then we'll certainly have another question for this week as well. So that's the plan. Thank you again for joining us. What we'll do now is we'll get straight into it with our stat of the week. So there was some data that was released yesterday that's had a lot of commentary, and there's been a lot of discussion since these numbers came out, and that was the unemployment rate that was released for May. And perhaps surprisingly for some commentators anyway, it actually did decrease. So the unemployment rate decreased from April to May to 3.6%. So really incredibly low unemployment figure, and we've had that relatively low unemployment now for a long time. And you can see on the screen there, obviously there was a real peak in the sort of depths of the lockdowns and the impact of the pandemic. But throughout 2022 and 2023, that unemployment rate is sitting between sort of 3.5% to 4%. So certainly that is an indicator that it is still a very strong jobs market and still a very tight talent market. And that's certainly what we are seeing. And it was interesting just to see that result come out yesterday. I don't proclaim to be any expert in making any commentary on what might happen around interest rates, but one of the things that I read time and time again in some of the commentary on this is that such low unemployment may actually be a bit of a trigger to have the interest rates lift again next month, which I'm sure is not good news for many people and many households. But yeah, the unemployment rate released yesterday for May 23 is 3.6% for Australia, which is still incredibly low. If we jump to the next slide, the other increase that we saw, which once again, I guess speaks to the strength of the jobs market, is the participation rate. So the top line there, the very dark blue line that you can see is everybody, and the participation rate, and essentially that means people of a working age who are participating in the workforce, that increased to, I think it's 60 I think it's 72% for everybody, but it has been the highest participation rate that we've had for women ever. So that bottom line, the orange line, the women participation rate, that's at about that 63%, and it's not been higher than that. So that's very interesting data, I think, that was released, and it certainly means that there's more people in the workforce and wanting to participate in the workforce. Could be various contributing factors to that. Perhaps the fact that everything's getting so expensive and everyone doesn't have the option to opt out of the workforce, but the unemployment rate's down and the participation rate is up. So interesting figures there. One thing, and I haven't got the slide there, but the only, I guess, slightly negative thing that came out of those numbers yesterday is that there has been a slight uptick, I should say, in the underemployment rate. So that really means people who are working, but they're not quite getting as many hours and as much work as they would like. So that's a factor that needs to be considered. But certainly our experience recruiting in the market is it is still very hard to find talent, and there's still a lot of demand out there in terms of employment, which is good news in the jobs market. So that's the end of the stats for today. What we might move to now is we've got a couple of hot jobs that the team across various places in Australia are looking to fill, and we might get those up on the screen if we can, please. Okay, so the first role that we've got here, which is based here in Sydney, it's based in Chatswood, so on the North Shore of Sydney there. It's a tenancy manager. So Julian is the consultant who's leading that, and his details are on the screen there. It is a temporary role, so looking at $45 per hour for this particular temporary assignment. In terms of the experience that you need to bring, ideally it's prior experience in tenancy management, inspection procedures, community housing or social housing, so really working around that space and making sure that you've got that experience in tenancy management, essentially. It's got some numbers on the screen there around the, I guess, the volume of work that you would be managing. But if you've got that experience within property and tenancy management, then Julian's got that opportunity and you can reach out to him directly. The next one from memory, I think, is over in Perth. So this is Rachel from our Perth team. She's got a development consultant position that she's looking to fill with some urgency. So that's a permanent position. The salary is $70,000 plus super. There's a car allowance in addition to that. Looking for experience in business development, education or training, and ideally tertiary qualifications to back that up. And really what you'll be doing is providing support to this network of education franchises. So really making sure that they can maximize performance of their franchise, give them assistance around marketing strategies, how they can get more students into their enrollments as well. So interesting role. You could bring a broad kind of background across education, business development or training, and Rachel is the person to speak to, and you can contact her on those details in front of you. What we might do now and we are hiring all over the place. So People to People has a presence obviously here in Australia, also in New Zealand under the Frog Recruitment brand, and also in the UK. So wherever you're watching, if you're looking for work in any of those locations, then we can certainly help you out. So on screen is a role here that Hannah from our London team has asked us to share with our Australian audience. So it's an architectural assistant, 27 to 35 £1,000. I've got to get used to speaking in pounds. Ideally, you need to bring experience working on residential properties and also working within the current building regulatory guidelines. And you can see some of the responsibilities on the page there. So if that's the kind of background you have, or hey, you might know somebody who has just moved to London or is considering a move to London, then yes, certainly make sure that you pass these details on, and you can reach Hannah. Her email address is there, and you can give her a call if you want want to get the time zones, align the time zones as well. So that's from London. I think we've actually got a video from our New Zealand team, and if you look to make a move over to New Zealand, then you could consider this opportunity, and we might run that now.
Hi there. I'm currently working with a global organization within the fintech industry, looking for the next sales superstar. This role is an extremely rare entry-level opportunity into the world of finance and investing. You get to be a part of a global company trying to establish their base within New Zealand. You'll be at the forefront of business development and trying to grow the company's client base. A stylish new CBD office, opportunities to learn about investing, an excellent salary package, and plenty of room to grow within the organization are some of the perks attached to this role. If you're a competitive individual with excellent communication skills and a passion for finance and investing, apply now by sending your CV through to me on the email address below.
Now, AI is a topic that seems to be almost everywhere. I certainly know I'm using it from time to time to try to make things a bit more efficient for me. So we're joined by Renagi from our Queensland team. Hi, Renagi. You've got a few insights and a bit of information to share with us around AI in the workplace.
Yeah, sure. Good to see you, Catherine. Look, AI, I think a lot of people, it's been lurking in the background for a little while now. And a lot of people kind of stay naive, and I think they have over the last handful of years. We've all had that time, let's say 5-10 years ago, you call up the bank or the telco and you get that annoying computer that has no idea what you're saying.
Yeah.
Then I guess you fast forward to now, and the AI has taken quantum leaps in terms of how it's used in business as well as everyday life. And I guess in terms of speaking generally with business, it's allowed companies to free up staff. You've got those mundane tasks going back and forth, with, I guess, repetitive tasks as well. And it's allowed companies to free up the staff members so AI can do its job and take care of that. It also, we found it accelerates the hiring process. Mm-hmm. When you do the team training, etc., it's having AI there to run new staff members through the initial processes. It's definitely helped there. On top of that, one of the biggest things people are talking about today is cybersecurity. And having AI there to obviously keep businesses secure, especially in recruitment, we've got a lot of data here that's very personal. So keeping all that secret, I guess, and in undercovers is exactly what we need. I guess looking from our point of view in recruitment, it's allowed us as recruiters to focus on, excuse the pun, people to people, which is exactly what we do. Like it allows us to step away from doing those tasks to work on the connection with people, which is exactly what recruiting's about. People helping people, people connecting people.
Yeah, indeed. I was having a conversation, just happened to be over dinner with some friends the other day, and I think that's very much the role of AI in all areas, but particularly in business, can be that it frees humans to do the human things and to do, a machine is never going to be able to have a moment of truth and connection in the way that humans can, but a machine's probably going to do a hell of a lot better job with some of the data analytics or making sure that, the fields are done correctly. So yeah, we're definitely seeing more and more organizations embrace it, but it's also not without regulatory, considerations. And I think it will be a topic that's evolving and probably getting more sophisticated. But yeah, it's definitely, from my experience, something that we're, even in the last 6 months, would you say it just seems to have more and more, presence.
Absolutely. Every time you jump onto the internet, there's always something about AI, new programs that you can use to simplify your life, as well as obviously businesses as well. So it's definitely changing the landscape of how business is done. That's for sure.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah, and maybe not all for bad if it gives us more opportunity for human connection. So I liked how you got the people-to-people plug in there. That was very well timed. But if people wanted to talk to you, they might want to take up this topic, but even just more generally, particularly, say Renagi's based in Brisbane, and if people wanted to talk about opportunities in Brisbane or get a bit of a sense of what's happening, what's the best way for them to reach you?
Sure. So as on the screen there, you can call the main landline, so 311-80125. Or email me directly, which is Renagi, Renagi, @people2people2.com.au.
Awesome. All right. Thanks so much for joining us, Renagi.
No worries
Appreciate
at
it.
all. Thanks so much. Bye.
Okay, so sorry, I had a bit of a pause. I think I have a connection delay here. So we're nearly at the end of today's broadcast. So the final things that we need to cover off is our weekly Twitter poll. So we put that out to the Twitterverse last week, and this is the question that we asked. It's topical given the conversation we just had. So with the advancement of AI in the workplace recently, have you found it to be better, worse, or no difference? And overwhelmingly, really, the people who contributed to this poll said that it's worse. So 47.2% have said that the advancement of AI has been negative for them and has made things worse than it was previously. Nearly 32% said doesn't really make a difference, and then there's that sort of 21% who've said it's better. So I do think, it varies widely from organisation to organisation and how it's being utilised and the communication around that. So certainly a watch this space. We might move to the question for this week, which we're going to put out to the Twitterverse. And so that's obviously we're around the middle of the year in 2023. And our question is that going into the second half of 2023, are you beginning to feel burnt out? Are you feeling like you're pretty worn out already and we're only at the halfway mark, or you feel like you've still got plenty of fuel in the tank? So interested to hear what comes back from everybody, and we'll bring those results to you next week. I'll be here again next week. As I said, Mark's away for a couple of weeks. So thank you very much for tuning in. I'm very happy to connect with people if you'd like to connect with me on any of the social channels and talk about what's happening in the jobs market. Otherwise, I'll be back next week. I hope everyone has a great weekend.